All right, Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. I'm here with rising star Javier Martinez out of Dallas, Texas, the hotbed of boxing these days. How you doing, Javier?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, so you're 7-0, 4 knockouts. You had a phenomenal amateur career and national champion, Olympic alternate. Can you talk about just how you got into boxing and just, where you are today?
Yeah, how I started boxing. I was actually a soccer player first. I was like about 7.5, maybe 8 years old. And my father saw some kids running with hand wraps on. And then ever since that day, I've been forced in it, man. And I was forced in it when I was a kid. And then eventually I grew to love the sport because I'm naturally competitive, so I'm just naturally competitive and I like to win, and so as I was forced to train hard and I eventually I enjoy winning, so I just grew love for the sport and ever since then I've kept going, man.
And you won a lot, in the amateurs, right? I think I read, what were you, 100 and what was your record in the amateurs?
I have no idea. I know it was like my win was around 170, 180 something wins. I had about maybe like 30 losses. But I had a bunch. The thing when I was a kid, I had when I was young, I had a bunch of losses from the same guy, or and vice versa, because we were like the top fighters in Dallas, and we would always compete. We would go to all the tournaments, and we would always compete. Either he won or I won. It was going back and forth. So I had a bunch of losses with him. Probably half of those losses were with him. And I've always tried to go to all the nationals and stuff,
And who was the guy that you went back and forth with?
Arnold Alejandro. I think he was like 10 wins with like 8 knockouts. But then he suffered I guess he retired. He suffered a knockout loss against a really good fighter, and he was coming up in the ranks, and but ever since then I think he retired. So
okay, and like I said, you're 7-0, 4 knockouts. Got a big fight May 28th in Cancun against Jose Daniel Hoil. Do you know anything about him?
I've seen one video of him, one of his fights. He just comes forward and likes to hook, which is perfect for me because I like to bang in there sometimes too,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is your style? Are you a banger, boxer,
it's
boxer,
very
puncher?
I guess boxer puncher because I can like my last fight I was doing a little bit of boxing countering. But the previous fights before that I would just go out and try to bang it out, and because that's naturally in my benefit. But for a while, since I haven't fought in a long time, I've been learning to box. I'm a boxer puncher, I'd say.
Okay, and from what I've researched, you came out of a Vergil boxing gym in Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's a little bit of history there. Vergil Ortiz Jr., Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah.
What does it mean to follow in those guys' footsteps?
Well, it doesn't really feel like that because whenever in Viveros, when I was in Viveros, Virgil's a lot younger than me. So Vergil was always younger than me, and then Errol Spence. When I got there, when I started boxing, Errol Spence was about 15 years old. But when Errol Spence turned like 18, when he turned pro, he just dipped out in the gym and he went to another gym to a different coach. Didn't really represent the gym like that, Vergil Ortiz was younger than me, and Vergil Ortiz now he holds a good name and he represents the gym pretty well, and I kind of fell off for a while, so I was supposed to kind of come first and then him, but then I fell off, and then so Vergil just thank God he kept winning, and thankfully he did very good in his career, and but I used to spar with Vergil too when I was fighting at 123. I was still an amateur, I was like 19, 18 years old. Vergil was about like 17, I think, and he was helping me get ready for the World Series of boxing at the time.
Mm.
And but he's I've always seen him like a little brother, you know. He's yeah, much love for him.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you've made a couple references about kind of falling out of boxing.
Yeah.
You know, you only have 7 pro fights. I think you went pro in what, 2016, 2017? Can you
2017.
2017? Can you talk about that and what happened?
Yeah. So I was signed with Golden Boy, and I was signed with the top manager who had a lot of money, and just I don't want to mention his name because I just don't want any, but like but because I respect him, and you know, I have some type of care for him, you know, like it wasn't his fault, and I think it was I was still young, and he was giving me a lot of money, and I was having like weight problems, and then I didn't know how to control my weight at the time, and I was trying all kinds of diet, and I couldn't lose. I was having so he was very controlling, you know, about who I trained with and what weight I fought at. And I've always felt more comfortable at 130 when I was younger because I didn't know how to lose the weight right to get down to 126. And so when I was fighting 128, 129, I was doing good. I was knocking these guys out. But when I started fighting 126, I've noticed that like I was getting tired by the third round. And then as the fights kept coming, because I was fighting pretty often, like every other month, I was getting worse and worse. And then I wasn't able to knock out. This is why I only have 4 knockouts, was because the last 2 opponents that I had, or 3 opponents that I had with Golden Boy, I was so tired and drained, I couldn't even knock these guys out. And these guys were like, you know, potatoes. And so I had like a back and forth with my manager, and then miscommunication, you know, and you know, we went our separate ways. Whenever we did that, we had like I couldn't fight because I had like for like a whole year I had like I was having like, you know, core problems. We were having core problems, and you know, trying to get something situated. Since I was trying to go left and he was trying to go right, you know, or vice versa. But
Right.
so while I was dealing with that, you know, I couldn't fight for a whole year. I was working. I didn't. At the same time, I think it relieved a lot of stress. You know, I had a lot of pressure in boxing. I was kind of looked at as like I was the one that was going to take care of my family, and you know, and move forward, and you know, a lot of people had high hopes for me in Dallas. So I had a lot of pressure. So whenever that happened, in a way, it's like I wanted it to happen. You know, I kind of wanted to step away from boxing. So I started going to school, working on the side, and then that eventually I fell into like a dark like a dark hole, like a dark life, when I started like getting into like picking up a lot of addictions, not drugs, but you know, other addictions, to kind of like fill that hole. And you know, and then ever since then I've been like dipping in and out of boxing. You know, like one day I want boxing, and I'm training really hard because I know I'm talented. I know I can go far, so I'm training really hard, and then I'll have like minor setbacks that just throw me off, and I'll go back to my old ways. You know, like going out to the clubs and being out with women, drinking and stuff, and to kind of just numb that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So I was kind of like dipping my toe in and out. I'll go to training camps. Like I'll go to training camps with Shakur Stevenson. I went to one with Raymond Ford, and all these trainers would tell me, "Oh, we're taking you to top rank. Oh, we're taking you to matchroom." And every time they did that, there was always something in the way. Either at the time I had a manager, or there was money to be needed, so like for me to provide for my training camps, you know, or I would have to, do you know what I mean? Like it was just like, man, I would just rather go make some money, and then, you know, then
You had a lot on your plate. You had a lot on your plate as a young kid,
yeah,
young fighter. Yeah.
yeah, and everybody would tell me like, like, yo, just keep at it at boxing. But it was hard for me as well. Mentally it was hard.
Where's your mental state today,
Oh,
Javier?
it's very good. It's very good. I was off. I haven't trained in 7 months, and then I came back, and so far I have 2 months in, and I'm ready to go weigh in tomorrow and fight Saturday. I'm just ready to get back in there. It's been
And I
like a
noticed.
little over a year since I fought.
Okay, okay. Getting off that ring rust, I bet, a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I see that you already got a fight scheduled in June on BoxRec. So
But yeah, or like it's July, July
July.
1st, June. I don't remember, something like that. But yeah, I'm ready to get the ball rolling, man. That's the thing. Like now that I finally have a good like, oh, I got fights coming up. So I'm just worried about boxing and everything is set out for me. Now it just depends on me. Before it was like depending on the promoter or the manager or the opponent or looking for having money for the opponent. Now everything is good. I'm pretty set out to just all I gotta do is worry about boxing.
Yeah, and you mentioned the managerial issues. I would imagine that kind of severed the ties with Golden Boy at that time.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what separated the ties. It wasn't like Golden Boy was like, oh, we don't want you as a fighter, because as far as the contract, I kept winning, but it was as far as like my manager had like really close ties with Golden Boy, so it's like, um, it kind of has something to do with that, but it is what it is. I was still undefeated, like when I got released.
Well, you never know. You could end up back there. So
yeah, maybe, yeah.
The one thing you'll learn in boxing, and you probably already know, you don't want to burn any bridges, because it's actually a small world, the boxing community.
I try not to worry about that, like burning bridges. I'm more of like, as long as they respect me, I respect the person back. I could care less about looking good with media and burning bridges. Like, I think when I was younger, I was more like that. I was trying to like kind of do the right thing. I guess now that I'm older and I went through like the trials, tribulation, like my ups and downs, and I learned a lot about life. As, especially the experience that I've had. Like, it wasn't like I was just going like this. I was going like this, and then it went like that, and it went like this, and like that. So I learned a lot of life experience, and I'm at the point where I just want to fight, and I could care less about anything else, media or about anything else. I'm just worried about getting signed and making enough money to just to fight.
Sound like a fighter in the ring and outside the ring in your young life.
I hope so, man. Yeah.
Let's talk about Shakur a little bit, Javier. You mentioned him. If my research is correct, you're an Olympic alternate to him in 2016, and you mentioned being in camp with him. What is it like sharing the ring with a phenomenon like Shakur Stevenson?
Okay, so like in the Olympic trials, we never fought because I lost before going to the finals. I lost to Ruben Villa, which was I thought, it is what it is. I thought I won the fight. I gave him 2 black eyes, but he's a good friend too. He's a good friend of mine. It was a good fight. It was pretty close. So, he was a boxer. I was the aggressor. But it was a good fight. So he ended up fighting Shakur in the finals, but I was still an alternate because my ranking was still like, I was still up there. I think I was still ranked I was ranked like number 2 or something like that after that trials. But sharing the ring with him, man, it taught me a lot. Like, if it wasn't for me sharing the ring with him, I wouldn't know what it takes to. I wouldn't know that other competitive side, like the next level. And I wouldn't know like how good I was, because when I was going to camps, man, I was like working construction, not training, like getting drunk every other fucking day, and they would just call me up for camp, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in shape, yeah, the money sounds good, so shit, I would go there half like in shape, half-assed in shape, and the work I was giving them, everybody was like, oh shit, like that's when everybody was like, oh, let me take you to top rank. Oh, let me whatever. But like I said, there's always things in the middle. But me sharing the ring with him, man, he taught me a lot about boxing. Like I didn't think there was other things I didn't know about. He kind of opened my mind to other things I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? Like there's certain good fighters that you would know when you're in the ring. It's different than any of the other fighters you've been with. And if it wasn't for me sharing the ring with him, I probably wouldn't have been boxing. Honestly, I probably would have not known how good I was or how much I can learn or how much I still need to learn. But he really gave me that motivation. Like me going in the ring with him, I got the motivation to like, man, I can really do this.
He really does seem 2 to 3 steps ahead of everybody that he shares the ring with.
Yeah.
Wow. So what you're seeing with him and where he's at now, a 2-division champ, you're not surprised at all.
No, I knew like as soon as I saw Oscar Valdez, when he was on Oscar Valdez, the what he was doing, like having his hands up like a shell, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna get picked apart. Cause like I already know him like inside the ring. I already know how he picks people apart. I've seen it, but what gave me the motivation is that when I would work with him, it would be competitive, I think he was always getting the upper hand, like slightly. It wasn't like it was big, but it was because I wasn't even in shape. I wasn't even training, and I was like, oh man, like these other fighters can't see what I'm seeing, or because it's not like I was seeing it and he wasn't telling. Like no, he was helping me along the way. His grandpa was training me. They taught me a lot of things on I got a lot of good secrets. I don't like to say too much, but yeah, they taught me some. I mean, I personally would never try to fight Shakur, and because he's just a good friend of mine, and his grandpa, they're like family to me. Maybe along the road, whenever if it's ever like good money pay-per-view and it's like good for both of us, yeah. But other than that, they're like family to me, man, and they taught me a lot. So I kind of know him pretty well too, So it's like, like that.
That's great to hear, because Shakur just put out a tweet yesterday saying something like, hoping everybody will know his story. I think hearing something like this from you tells his story. Somebody that, you're just making your way back into the sport. You're a former amateur star. So I think it's pretty cool to hear your story and then your experience with him. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, when I saw him, I was like, okay, that's how a champion is supposed to work. Like that's how a great fighter is supposed to work. But there's fighters where even fighters that are champion, and I'm like, they still don't work as hard as Shakur does. They don't, because it's not just training hard in the gym physically. It's like your mind. You got to train your mind, like watching boxing all the time and understanding why you get hit with this punch or how can you hit this person with this punch and set them up and things like that. And people don't realize how he's always locked in. Like with boxing, that's all he does is eat, breathe, and live boxing. Sleep boxing, and that's why I give him. Because there's other fighters that are probably champions that are coming up, and I'm like, nah, they don't, But there's some fighters that you can't knock them down because you see the hard work and all the dedication they put in. So it's like I admire that, So I've always admired him. I've always wanted, because I know that's what it takes, And in order to be that great, you gotta be willing to sacrifice and put the work in, like he did, So I saw. That's when I opened my eyes there, because I've been around world champions my whole life. I've sparred with Chocolatito, I sparred with Jesse Magalendo, I sparred with Jose Diaz Jr. I've seen I trained alongside Triple G. I've been in the Big Bear camp for about like almost 2 years. I've been in Team USA, so I've seen top athletes, And when I went to his camp and saw him train and saw how I would see him. Some people would see him spar, but they'll just see the sparring. I would see the sparring, and I would actually take notes and see. Oh, okay, I see what he's doing. Oh, okay, I see. I'll see him hit the bags, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I see why his punches are getting harder every time I go to camp. I'll see him train. So I would actually like, I was like a student in there trying to, obtain as much knowledge as possible. And that's why I admire him. Like, okay, I don't see any other fighter beating him, you know?
I interviewed Jamel Herring last Friday before his fight Saturday night. He has since
Yeah.
announced his retirement. And I asked him about Shakur as well. And if he was the guy to beat even at like 135. And he said he would give anybody a run for their money and possibly at 140. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, of course. I've seen him in there with sparring with 140s, 147s. He's a big dude, he's a big guy. He walks around pretty heavy, but yeah, he can give almost anybody a run for their money.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of your next step. You got this fight coming up in Cancun. You got another fight already on the map. I know your manager Josh is working hard for you.
And he's working hard. I'm very grateful for him.
Yeah, and what are the kind of the short, maybe midterm, long-term goals? It sounds like your head's back in the game, and you're hoping for a title down
right
the road.
now. I try not to put we all fantasize about our goals, right? But I try to take it as like I'm just taking fight by fight, So like I can't overlook this fight, right? Even though I got the fight in June or July, and I know I do like kind of jump in my head a lot. Where like, by the end of the year, I'm gonna be 10-0, and I'm gonna get signed with this promoter. Like I'm just taking fight by fight. Just in the gym working hard. Hopefully by the end of the year, we're like 10-0, and I do get signed or something. We start seeing something good by the end of this year. But if not, we're just gonna keep at it, working hard, keep beating these fighters. I've tried. Well, I've spoken to my manager, and I've told him before and previous time that we tried to getting other prospects with like Top Rank or Matchroom to kind of like give me a shot, but I don't think they would. I don't know if it's them, the manager or what, but I never really get the opportunity to fight another undefeated fighter, so that way I can kind of get that like opportunity of getting signed.
Why do you think you're not? What do you think it is?
I think it's I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't benefit them. It wouldn't benefit even if they did like it's not a beneficial risk. You know what I mean? Like I guess they would rather get somebody that has a record, because I don't have that many fights. So probably somebody that has a record with a couple losses that they know they can beat. As me, I'm very aggressive. I'm gonna come like if you're gonna beat me, you're gonna go through hell first. Like I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna push myself. That's the thing. I push myself to the limit. So I could be like dead tired, or I can get dropped or something. I'm coming right back. I don't like losing.
Well, you're undefeated, so I don't think you're getting dropped too much. But we'll wrap it up here in a minute. I'm here with Javier Martinez. He was once a rising star coming out of Dallas, trying to get back on track.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, Dallas has become the hotbed. You got unified champ Errol Spence. You got Vergil Ortiz Jr., who's making his way.
Shout out to them, man. Shout out to Errol Spence and Vergil, man. They're doing their thing.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Spence for a second. It looks like he's finally going to fight Crawford. What are your thoughts?
Everyone, man, keeps saying Crawford, but I don't know. Like, there's something about Errol. I'm going for Errol Spence just because that's my boy, man. He's from the city, and I got memories with him where I would always see he would always work hard, man. He was always outworking everybody, and I ran with him a couple of times, like running 3 miles. And when I was a little kid, he would push me. I have those memories. But I don't know. Crawford's cool too, man. Crawford's cool too. I like them both. But I'm going more towards Errol Spence because I think he just works. As far as I know, because I don't know how Crawford works, but he works hard, man. Errol Spence. Yeah, he works hard, and he's gonna give you his last bit of ounce of sweat, his last blood. So I'm going for Earl on that one.
I've been in his camps several times, and I can vouch. He works hard, which I know Crawford does too. So it should be a hell of a fight, and hopefully we'll get it here in Dallas at Cowboy Stadium. We'll see.
Yeah. If not Vegas, it'd be something mutual, right?
Yeah. It probably will be Vegas, but being here in Dallas, I'm hoping. But listen, let's we'll wrap up here, Javier. You mentioned Shakur. There's a lot of guys at 130, 135. You plan to be at 130 for a while?
I don't know. I was thinking. So we're gonna reevaluate after my fight, and I'm gonna fight at 129. And when I get back to the gym, we're gonna do some tests for my body fat, my bone mass, everything. So we're gonna see if 126 is possible and being healthy. So if I'm able to do that, then I'm gonna try to go for 26. Because if I can do 26, I want to go straight up to the champions. I will, get the big fights right away. Kind of just be knocking on doors, and because I want to unify at 126 and unify at 130, and then maybe 135. I don't know. I'm 5'6". I'm not that tall. Well, we'll see. Maybe by the time I'm like 30 or something, I can do 135. But yeah, those are the goals right now. The kind of just trying to see what. Hey, if I stay at 130, then I guess I'll do 132. I ain't scared of 130s. It's not that. It's not too big for me.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about Spence. Have you been over to Derek James in their gym?
Yeah, a couple times because I spar his fighters a lot.
Okay.
I sparred a couple of his fighters a lot. Yeah.
Frank Martin, did you work with Frank?
That's the only guy I haven't sparred. I'm looking forward to sparring him, man, because he's I keep hearing good things about him, man. I keep hearing good things, but he's a little. See, I was supposed to spar him actually last Saturday for my last sparring session, but man, I'm walking around like 135, 134, and he's walking around maybe like around 150, and it's kind of like towards the end of my camp, so it's like my manager was like, "No, I don't want you to go spar him. He's too big right now. Just wait till till you get back and you get a little bigger, like back walking around 140. Maybe we can go get some sparring from him." But you know how like towards the last week of training, you're kind of feeling weak because of the weight. Right. So that's how I was feeling. They could see it, so they didn't let me go get some work with him. But man, as soon as I get back, that's the first guy I'm gonna talk to. Like, let's get some work, because I'm all about that. That's one thing I hate about I've noticed, and it happens a lot here in Dallas. That's one thing that I admire about Shakur and these other great fighters, that they're not afraid of the work. Like, you could just walk in the gym, they could be in the middle of training, you want some work, let's get in there, because I'm always trying to get the best work. I'm like that. And I'm very competitive, and I always want the best sparring. And some of the fighters here, like, they kind of shy away from it. And I mean, man, I always want the best work, and I want somebody that thinks the same way. That we're always working, always getting better.
It's a champion mindset. It sounds like.
Yeah. I want to test myself all the time. I always want to I always want to test myself, because I want to be proven that this person is better than me. I want to prove myself that I'm better than them. Like, if you're better than me, like, you gotta prove me wrong. But to this day, like, even when I sparred, like, I haven't really sparred anybody that I think that I can't beat in a fight. That I'm confident that I can beat. Like, even though the fight might be hard, but I'm like, I can do it. I think I can beat the person.
Well, Javier, listen, man, I'm based in Dallas. It's great to see another Dallas guy come out of here, and thanks for sharing your story. And I hope this maybe helps get you back on track with the promoter, whether it's Golden Boy, Top Rank, Matchroom, whoever it may be. But it sounds like you're in a good place right now, and I look forward to following you from here on out. You gotta, like you said, one fight at a time. You got to fight this Saturday in Cancun. You can't take any fighter for granted. Jose Daniel Hoil, 6-4. And I wish you all the best. And I hope when that sparring session happens with Frank, I'll get an invitation. And
Yeah, yeah.
and I look forward to following you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So
All right,
much.
we'll take care. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.